Hey everyone, it's Renee from sweetpealabs here to give you a quick tutorial on making an interactive vocabulary slide. I'm doing this in Google Slides, just an FYI, so this won't be the same instructions for PowerPoint, but will be similar. So first thing I did here was I've gone into my Google Drive and I've opened up a new Google Slide presentation. And I'm going to name this presentation tutorial-prototype. I always name one of my slide decks in my interactive notebooks and interactive slides a prototype because that's where I'm doing all of the background work. And I want to change this page size from widescreen, which is what it's at right now for me. I'm going to go down to page setup, file, page setup, and I'm going to change it to standard. That's what I prefer right now. I'm going to get rid of these text boxes. I don't need those. And right away, we're going to create an additional slide deck. So I've got my prototype slide deck, and I'm going to go to my drive, click on New, Google Slides. I like to arrange these in a certain way. This presentation I'm going to call tutorial-student. When I create my interactive notebooks, I always have a teacher version and a student version. And I make everything from a prototype version. So there's like 3 sets of slides that I create. If you're just creating this for your class, then you can just make the student version. You can make a teacher version with a bunch of answer keys if you want to. That's up to you. But here we're just going to do the student version. And I want to make sure that my prototype, which I changed to standard 4x3, matches the student slide deck size. So I'm going to go File, Page Setup, change this to standard 4x3 as well. That way everything will fit nicely and it'll streamline when we go to make our interactive slides. And I'll show you how to do that. We're going to start out doing our work. We've got both of our slide decks set up now. So I've got my prototype slide deck set up here and my student slide deck set up here. Back to my prototype slide deck. That's where we're going to build everything. We're doing a vocabulary thing today, so I'm going to insert some word art for a title, and I'm just going to type vocabulary fun. All right, so you've got your word art. Whoa, that doesn't look good. Okay, you got your word art title there. I'm going to change it because that's pretty dull, so let's just make it blue. I'm not going to go crazy with fonts and things like that today. That's not the point of this tutorial. So I've got my title. It's a vocabulary thing. So what I'm going to do is give them a little directions here of what in the world they're going to be doing. I'm going to center these directions. So click in the text box here and type out the directions. It's going to be drag the correct word to match the correct definition. Obviously, your directions can be, whatever they need to be. But I do like to sort of bold and then maybe put in a different color the action word. So dragging is what they're doing today. You can do drag and drop the correct word. Totally up to you. But right now we've got a title. We've got some directions. Now I'll show you the really quick way to create a vocabulary list with definitions and words that students can drag and drop. You can do either dragging definitions to words or words to definitions, totally up to you. Today I'm going to show you dragging words to definitions. And the best way to do that, or easiest, quickest way, is to insert a table. And we'll do let's just do 2x4 just for the sake of the tutorial. So here's your table here. You can resize this just like anything else, by dragging the corners. You can make it kind of big. And then I want more space for my definition than the word. So I'm going to go ahead and move this line over. Boop. There's our table. Now, when I click out of there, that's a pretty light colored table. You can make this any color that you want. I'm going to make it black. And I'm going to make I don't have the whole thing highlighted. You can see that just did that for the box. I need to make sure that my whole table is highlighted. And we'll make everything thicker and everything black. So now the table stands out a little bit more. You can make the background different. You can do like a million different things here. Again, this is the quick tutorial on how to make a quick list. So here I would type my definitions. So this would be definition 1. This is definition 2, right? And so on and so forth. And then definition 4 would be at the bottom, right? So you've got your definitions here. It really bothers me that that's left open, so I have to put it in. Definition 4. Okay. Now I want to create the words that the students would be dragging. So instead of creating a text box to create a word, I really like when I create interactive notebooks to use shapes. I think they're easier to drag for some reason. So I'm going into the shapes tool and I'm picking a rectangle. And I'm going to make a shape that is about as big as the box that I've created in my table, right? You can see that the default is gray. You can type inside these shapes. Some people don't know that. If you double click, you can see the cursor. That means you can type words inside of shapes. But I want the word to be in the center and also in the center of the box, right? And now I'm going to type my word. Let's say that my word is fish. That's pretty small, so I'm going to highlight that word, make it a lot bigger, just increase the font until it looks good to me, and maybe make it bold, maybe change the color to whatever, red. So now I've got a box that's a draggable piece for your students, okay? This is what your students will see. They'll see this little piece. This is the slide bar at the bottom. You can navigate back and forth with your slides. So I've got a box here. You can leave it like this, or I'll show you a different option. We're going to create another box with a new vocabulary word. So I've clicked on the edge of the shape. I'm going to Control-C for copy, or you can right-click copy, and then Control-V for paste, and that creates a new shape. That's the exact same size. You don't have to redo. And I want to make this one gills. All right, so you could do that for all 4 of your all 4 of your words, your vocabulary words. You could keep them like this. You could change the colors of the box, the outline of the box, or you could get rid of the box altogether. And I'll show you how to do that here. You highlight the box and you go up here to the paint can. Just click transparent, but you'll notice it still has an outline. You could leave it like that if you wanted. Or you can click on it, border color, transparent. Now it's just the word. Okay, so 2 different options here. You can have a physical box that they can move, or you can have the words that they can move, right? I am going to create the rest. I'll just do Control-C on this and Control-V, creates another box. And this one will be the next vocab word. Let's say as tail. And maybe I'll create another one. If I just click or press Control-V again, I'm going to paste the last thing we just had. So this one would be, what do we need? Fin. Seems like we're with fish here. So a couple different options here. All right, so we've created our prototype of our slide. And now we need to figure out how to make the student version of this, because if I just copy this and give this to students, they can move everything on this slide, and that's a problem, right? Because they're going to have a heyday with that. That's a blast. I'm going to mess up the teacher's slide. It's super fun. I'm going to change all the colors and the fonts and all of that. So in order to make this interactive for them, but not too interactive, right? We have a student version of the slide deck. So notice that I've dragged all of the pieces off of the slide that are the interactive pieces. And this, we are going to make a background in the student slide deck. So what I need to do is, this slide is highlighted. I'm going to go to File, Download, JPEG. I'm creating an image of what's on the slide. It will not copy this. It will just copy what's on the slide. I'm going to go into my student version, and I'm going to click on Background, choose Image, browse, and this is the one I just made. Vocabulary fun. Now This is the student version. They can't move any of this. It's all locked in place. Okay. Now, how do I get my pieces over here? I want the pieces on the student deck. So I go over here. I drag across all of them. So it selects all of them. I'm going to Control C, copy, or right click copy. Go into the student slide deck, Control V, paste, or right click paste. And there are your words. And now in Google Classroom, or however you like to share your things with your students, especially for distance learning, you can share through Google Classroom. Make sure to make a copy for each student, which is an option when you add that in as an assignment. And each student will have their own slide deck. Here is only one slide, but you can imagine how many interactive slides you could make. You could make vocabulary for all kinds of things. And there are tons of different ways to make interactive slides. But the key here is putting that image of the slide as a background and then having all of your pieces off to the side. Okay. Yeah. So then the students will drag their words over. You know, they need to just look for the crosshairs and they are good to go. And when they turn it in as a teacher, as a quick assessment, you'll see something like that. Right? Alrighty. That's all for today. Enjoy your next interactive slide you make. Have fun.